There is huge censorship going on in gaming right now.
Hey everyone, MasterCard now get to decide what is or is not artistically valid.
Would you look at that? It seems like gigantic corporations in a duopoly want to decide what you can or can't play or watch.
There's some stuff about Valve. Well, there's a couple things with Valve.
So as we've kind of been like looking at over the months, there's been a timeline of activity from Valve, and it's been happening with a pretty big steady pressure from the outside, and that is with their adult content stuff. So the timeline that we got, we were looking at, for instance, July 16th, this was not long ago at all, just a few months ago, that was when Valve started tightening its guidelines around adult only, so with the payment processing and all that. Then on July 29th, the IGDA, the International Game Developer Association, was seriously alarmed by the delisting and everything, saying it was a slippery slope. And then on September 15th, so last week, Valve is now no longer permitting games with mature themes in early access. Are we watching them slip down the slope? Like, is that what this is?
It's
like,
exactly what it is. They are quite literally going down the slope because no one's stopping them. You guys need to start calling that their support lines. If you have a MasterCard, call a MasterCard. If you have a Visa card, call a Visa card. Make them pay a lot of money for what they're doing.
Is the next step no full release mature themed things?
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe.
Because that's a huge part of Steam. Like,
right.
Like millions and millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah.
It's also a lot of people's livelihoods.
And it's all, is it all due to pressure from the credit card companies?
So a lot of it has been, it's kind of like an amalgamation of different organizations that all have different ways to get advantageous stuff from this. In a new statement, the IGDA, that's the International Game Developers, it's calling for greater transparency and fairness in how adult games are moderated and actioned across major platforms. So they pointed out while it's uncommon for platforms to have like terms of service restricting it and stuff, game content such as non-consensual acts and things like incest, which violate payment processor guidelines. That's a very key term, payment processor guidelines. Its concern is, quote, not the existence of these rules, but rather that their enforcement is adversely impacting games that do not actually violate these restrictions, often without warning or explanation. So the IGD...
Here's the thing. They shouldn't be allowed to touch any of the games. I don't care if there's incest in the game. I'm not buying the game. Why would I care? You see what I mean? Like, hey, credit card company, guess what? I don't even know about the game. You're making it known aboutable. You're the one bringing attention to it. The game can exist because there are apparently people that like that. You saying it can exist and then slowly pushing that bar so that you can affect mature games. What's next? PG-13 games? Like, people don't realize that's what they're going to do next. They're literally going to do that. They're going to satirize the entire, like, gaming hemisphere.
EA is basically saying, like, it's shining a spotlight on it.
It's like, they don't care. Hi, Surge.
And saying, like, this term, especially, this, like, payment processor guidelines, using that to do what they're doing.
What's hilarious is, GTA will not be allowed to exist. That's a mature game. It won't be allowed to exist, buddy.
Open the door to, it's a very umbrella term. So it could lead to countless issues if this is like the actual reason that this goes forward.
Yeah.
It'd be real bad.
Okay.
I think the
they are,
thing here,
but they
though,
don't care.
is that they're saying that the product can't be sold on an independent platform because their payment processing guidelines. So the processing guidelines in literally the mechanism that just moves the money around says that they don't want to be a part of what's in those games. Right. So that isn't getting them taken off the store, not just having their payment processes changed or not being able to use those payment processes on those products. They're being taken off the store completely.
Yeah. It's pretty scary, right? Because it reminds me of in the, I guess it was the late 90s, back in like the Mortal Kombat era. God, what was that? There was a politician who led all of that. Jack Thompson. There we go. Jack Thompson was the person. And he led kind of that whole thing, but it never, a politician saying that stuff is whatever. Politicians are going to say shit. A company, a payment processor, I think that carries so much more weight because they can actually be like,
kind of the
That's the issue, though, that they're doing it anyways.
people that hold the purse strings, right?
exactly. They can actually do
They
shit.
control the money.
Exactly. Yeah, that is pretty scary for sure.
It feels like that should be a system that doesn't have that type of power. The person moving the money around should not be dictating what is happening on either side of the transaction.
Yeah.
Their service is just moving the money. So it's very strange because what this means is like, okay, if you have an organization that is just moving the money around that now has influence, you now need to look at that company and go, where is that influence coming from? How porous is this organization? Who is getting into the organization to then exert their influence through them on the system? They may
That's the issue, is they're the company itself should not be touching anything, but someone apparently has an issue with it and is making it, like, is forcing it to be their power. They should have the right to touch these games, let alone say whether they can be sold or not. You are a payment processor? You do not get that decision.
they may have no connection to the organization at all. They just see that as the easiest way to influence the system.
Yeah.
So it's like the fact that this we're here now, September 15th, just last week, at the worst state of this so far. It doesn't look like it's going to stop. If there's one thing that's going to anger the population, it's taking care.
It's true. Well, you say that, but they did it in Texas. You can't visit a certain website.
To be fair, the only people that still go to Texas live there still.
They've done it in some other states too.
We don't know. Nobody who lives outside of Texas goes to Texas anymore since the porn ban. We just don't talk about it.
I mean, that's true. I would go as far as to say the majority of games that we play would probably fit. I mean, I guess adult game is its own category, but a mature game, that's
Mature
a
game
lot.
is huge.
Well, the worst, the worst part about this is there is still, to this day, so much confusion over the fact that you can watch violent movies and play violent games, and like there's not a difference there. Like there was that massive quote by RFK recently about how he was blaming games for some recent violence that happened in media.
Yeah.
And then the big graphic that was going around is like, oh, here we go again with the violence and gaming thing, and you see the like how much video games per capita are, and USA is like, you know, middle of the list in terms of how much video game money were sold. Japan's like at the very top, and then you see the gun violence thing, and it's just like,
Yes, it's totally video games that do that. Totally. Do we all see the line graph and how it doesn't correlate? Like, what idiot thinks that violent video games equal violent people? The reason this line is so big is because it's so easy to get guns. Like, I'm not saying that guns are bad. People are bad. Why are we letting the bad people get guns? Tetris is clearly a violent video game. Clearly. What I think should be the thing is, if you have a violent criminal record, you shouldn't get a gun.
Zero, like none. Like,
because that's literally kind of the law in all these other states. All these other countries, sorry. Is either it's harder to get a gun, impossible to get a gun. Well, actually, it's not even guns. This is just, well, no, that says violent gun deaths. I thought it was just violent deaths. Or, like, newsflash, if you have a violent record, you can't have a gun. That's literally one of the 3 laws that's in these places. Some of them are all. Like, and you want to blame video games.
So it's
They do nothing.
The part that's most frustrating about this is I really felt like over the last year and a half that Valve was making some gamer first motions. Like they were actually doing like some, hey, we're trying to get AI and stuff off our website and show it to you better, and hey, we're trying to cut back on the gambling, and you're like it seemed like Valve was moving in like a relatively good direction. And
what's annoying is it's not even Valve that's causing these changes. Valve has clearly said we wouldn't be making these changes if we weren't being forced to make these changes.
And like this happens, and it's like, oh, never mind. Never mind. This is as scummy corpo as it gets. This is complete.
Well, also, Wicked, I know that there are some gun shops that don't even look at your record. They say they do, but they don't.
Bullshit. I have one more bit of news pertaining to the Valve stuff.
Uh-oh.
There was actually a story from 16 hours ago.
Okay.
And what happened is a new developer of an NSFW game put up their game for review. And they were told by Valve when the review was brought back that, by the way, you can no longer update any adult content via an update. So any adult content now has to come through a paid DLC, not a free update. That means that
they can make it a free DLC, but they have to make it a DLC. They can't like just put it in the game, because that would require that game to get an entirely new like review.
locking everything behind payment processing, JP. They're basically saying like you can't skirt around this by updating your game with adult content. Like everything moving forward is going to be having to be paid for, which means the payment processors are going to have a word about it. So now they have now officially moved every bit of adult content behind having to pay for it moving forward. And so even if you have an adult game already on Steam, you cannot update it with more adult content. You have to release it as a paid DLC now.
Well, I mean, that's the fucking ball game, right?
No, this is the start to the ball game. The ball game is when they drop the hammer and say you can no longer purchase content on Steam. That's what they're setting up for.
Yeah,
that's what they're trying to do right now. That's what they're literally setting up to do right now.
Yes, this is the pre of that potentially. First you put all the adult content in one place, and you shut that place down.
To take a step back, who deems what adult content is?
The payment processors.
They get to decide. So guess what? Mature's next.
Okay,
so they control the whole fucking show.
They wrote on Reddit, prior to the whole collective shout situation, adult games could add NSFW content even post-launch. But during the review process, we were informed this is no longer the case. I have to say the reviewer at Valve was kind and forthcoming. We didn't feel threatened or bullied in any way, and we got the feeling that they were trying to do their best to help us navigate the process. But the fact of the matter is that Valve has payment processors breathing down their neck, and thus rules are getting stricter as time goes on.
So the other Valve story, a game that was in early access by the name Planet Centauri. The pitch for this game is essentially Starbound meets Pokemon. I think it was in early access for a handful of years. I don't know how many years. It had 138,000 wish lists. This is all from the dev. In December of 2024, so last year, the game finally came out of development, launching into 1.0 for $14.99. They say the devs weren't expecting wild numbers or anything, but they certainly weren't expecting to only move 581 units in their first week. 138,000 wish lists, 581 units sold in the first week. They talked to one of the developers, or rather he wrote on social media, and he said, "We never understood why until today." It turns out that the whole thing was a freak accident because Valve contacted the French dev team behind the game I think it was earlier this month is when they got the email, that the platform, aka Steam, failed to notify the users who had saved Planet Centauri on their wish list. So no one got blasted that the game hit 1.0 for the 138,000 people that wishlisted it. The launch trailer on YouTube had just under 500,000 views. The people who had already expressed an interest in checking out the game had no way of knowing that it was available unless they went to the proper Steam page. A lot of people just completely rely when you put a thing on a wish list, you get notified whenever it comes out. They rely on that, right? So essentially,
it's literally the point of the system.
Yeah, it's the whole, exactly. It's the whole point of the system. It turns out that Valve decided to rectify this. They were offered from Valve a placement on Steam's daily deal to, quote, make up for lost visibility from your launch day, Valve said in an email. Now, a daily deal pops up for all Steam users and at most of the time appears on the platform's front page, as well as pages highlighting ongoing sales on games. The dev team, the duo had already moved on to their next game, as you know, devs do, and they didn't want to do any other extra support for Planet Centauri because 500 people bought the game. So in their minds, that game's kind of dead water, right? Like, why would they pump more resources into it? We don't know if the daily deals happened yet, and we don't know how like big it is. But it's just one of those things where I read that story and it's like, man, can you imagine? Like, Cohh, imagine if all this work you were doing for Emberville and pushing.
That kind of sucks. But Steam's trying to help them out, at least.
Wish list and all that stuff. And then Valve just made an oopsie and you had no idea after a year why it was doing that.
So, first of all, that is horrifying. It's also wild to think that Steam doesn't have access to that list and can't just like send that email out. Like, it seems like they should be, you know, the fact that this bug can even happen, that should be something they expedite. It's wild to think they didn't do something automatically to fix it, but also, I mean, a little bit of real talk here. You know, ever since Emberville, obviously I've been looking a lot into the wishlist stuff. Wishlisting is not as binary as people think. There are other factors that come from wishlisting that influence all sorts of things. Like, for instance, wishlists have value. So somebody that wishlisted a game at a certain point, that game is 3 years out. If somebody wishlists it that day, as opposed to the person that 3 years ago, those have different values in the system. How long, like if somebody revisits it, you know, like there's all these little indicators that Valve uses to play with what a wishlist is worth. So it's not really cut and dry at all.
That, and you can also move your wishlist around and rank it. Like, that's what I do constantly to like let you guys know what games are interesting to me. Basically, it probably also looks at where you have it ranked, when you wishlisted it, do you revisit it at all? Like, tons of different factors. So, like, I could see there being like a small non% chance that maybe something slipped through.
It is, you know, and I learned that a lot.
Just means it needs more work.
Like, a lot of people are so worried about it, some just kind of swear it off, the whole wish list thing. And also game wish lists these days, which is another kind of big issue that people are running into. So yeah, it's a whole big thing.
Yep. Yeah, I have no idea what episode it was, but Rami talked a lot about wish listing on the show. I think maybe the last time he was on, and covered a lot of that stuff in depth on the show.
With all this Valve stuff, we should see if we can get them back.
Yeah, I'm hoping we're able to stop these payment processors. If we start calling them again, they'll start losing money again. That's the issue. Like, that was Cohh, by the way. Go give him a like and a view if you enjoyed his content. But yeah, basically, we need to start putting pressure on these companies because they seem to think that they're working in our interest, and they're not. They're working in someone else's interest. Let's react to this. Record the background a little bit. Hi, YouTube. If you want to see this live, you gotta come to the streams. Right, and then we go here. Ba-bam. Right, we're gonna react to this. We're gonna react to this. Ba-bam.
We are living in incredibly strange times.
Incredibly.
Industries are shifting, politics are unstable, the people are restless, and video games are getting caught in the middle of it. And while some people are going to say there are bigger things to worry about, this is one of the things that I care about the most. And anytime things start to get shaky, it is the perfect moment for a power grab. And right now, everybody wants control of video games. You have politicians that are blaming them for violence. You have activist groups that are actively trying to censor or sanitize them. You have these corporations that are weaponizing patents to suppress their competition and funnel their users straight to them and to nobody else. These guys, none of them agree on anything, but they do agree on one thing, and that's that games don't belong to you.
Which is bullcrap. Flashbang? Did I flashbang you? I'm sorry. The lighting on Gebs' background is so much better. Yeah, this one was a long time ago made. If you're willing to help me fund it, Lock On, we can... We can get like one made for this. It'll take them about like a month to get it done, but we can totally do that. Cause I realized after it was already halfway done that maybe we should have gotten one for this React screen too. Although I do like what you did, when you add references yourself that look kind of natural. Alright.
This is supposed to be our hobby. This is supposed to be for our enjoyment, but there are far too many groups that have got it in their mind to weaponize our hobbies against us for their own device.
What's funny, I don't think we'll get to react to it today, but what's funny is Japan's already put their foot down. They're already making, like, strides to make it where you cannot censor them.
I sleep now.
You sleep now? Have a good night, doctor. But yeah, one of the politician that, like, called for them to be censored, he's already resigned, which means he was pressured to by Japan itself. And, like, there's already being steps made. Like, guys, I might eventually, like, petition to move to Japan. Because, good gosh. Hello? I just found out where it is. Okay, I can fix the TTS bot later for this area. Anyways.
Devices, whether that's greed, politics, or social control. Games have stopped being about creativity and expression and instead have become a battlegrounds for things and agendas that have largely...
Apparently, Nintendo's gotten in trouble. A few videos recently have said that they got in trouble recently for their patents, which hopefully means they're about to lose their patents.
Nothing to do with the reason...
Which will teach a lesson to the bigger companies, or companies that are their size. Which I don't think the other companies kind of agree. I don't think they agree with them very much. Because I feel like a lot of them would have already put in place to get some of this stuff copyrighted if they did.
Why we play games in the first place. So today what I want to do is I want to talk about that power grab. I want to talk about Nintendo's recent patents and the war that's going to start. I want to talk about the ensuing suppression from activists and politicians and how no matter what these guys do,
scratch right here on my
this
shoulder.
train ain't gonna stop. But before that, a word from today's sponsor. As
oh my god, he looks swole!
I've been to the gym 6 months in and not a day wasted, and I wouldn't have been able to do it without today's sponsor, Raycon. Remember back to school shopping as a kid? New notebooks, new shoes, new routines. It always felt like a reset. And I might not be in school anymore, but I love that feeling of a fresh start. And for me, Raycon's Everyday Earbuds Classic has become a part of that reset. I use these every single day when I go to the gym, and they're one of the very few earbuds that actually fit in my ears and don't fall out mid-workout. They've got active noise cancellation, so
I need the headphones like this so bad. The ones I have right now, at one point or another, I don't know how one of the ears broke now. So I have no headphones that both earphones work. And I don't understand why one of the ears broke. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm thinking like part of it like got loose or something inside. So I don't have any good earphones anymore. Just these big headphones.
I can zone in, or awareness mode, so when I'm outside I can actually hear what's going on around me. Multi-point connectivity to make it easier to swap out between my phone and my laptop without missing a beat. Battery life 32 hours with the case. Quick charge 10 minutes will give you 90 minutes of playtime, and I've got mine in the Purple Clouds case, showing off my more sensitive side. Raycon's quality rivals big audio brands, but at half the price. Over 3 million.
I do. These headphones don't leave the charging dock unless I go somewhere, like for a long period of time. Like I tried to get them like their own case and stuff, but I couldn't find a decent one, so I leave them at home. But at some point or another, maybe I hit them somewhere or something and I didn't notice. I can't explain it to you.
People are already in love with them, and with a 30-day happiness guarantee, there's no risk in trying them out. So if you're getting back into a routine this fall, go to buyraycon.com/legendary drops to get 20% off site-wide. That's buyraycon.com/legendary drops. This industry just feels like it's in a constant state of whiplash. It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. We have companies that are jacking up prices, carving
You don't think
up
you've
more
ever seen a
content.
positive Raycon review? Huh. Should we do the Arc Knights collab today, Will, by the way? Or should we do it later today? But, yeah. I feel like even Legendary Drops hasn't mentioned this, but that no one's been mentioning the TOS. It starts next week? Okay.
Shipping broken games, but then out of nowhere we're getting these moments of just pure joy and creativity. Another factory stamped Call of Duty, but then we get a Helldivers 2. Dragon Age bends itself into the Veilguard, but then we get Expedition 33. Nintendo is charging $80 for its games, while Team Cherry drops Silksong for only $20. Sometimes,
which by the way, that completely destroys Nintendo.
it's even happening in the exact same game. Borderlands 4 might be the best game in the series, but its reputation is tanked by an ego-drunk CEO and technical issues that should have never made it past QA.
And a TOS that apparently no one saw. Correct me if I'm wrong, but does it even have the kernel level anti-cheat on it? Because if it doesn't, I might end up getting it. I'll see if there's a way to like circumvent the TOS. Just because I don't agree with it at all.
Everything in this industry feels like it's boom or bust, not just for publishers, but for us players too. And that constant whiplash is creating a lot of uncertainty, and that uncertainty is breeding anxiety. And AAA studios feel it, the customers feel it, but ironically, that anxiety has been a gift for these indie studios, because titles like Palworld, Enshrouded, Balatro, Expedition 33, and Silksong, they have dominated the last 2 years because, well, they're offering something that AAA rarely does anymore: relief. Lower prices, lower commitment, less pressure on performance and hardware, and above all, focus.
Like, that's the issue and the biggest reason why indies are doing better. Oh, they still have that spyware? Yeah, I'm not touching it with a 10-foot pole. I'm not putting kernel level anti-cheat for your slop game on my computer. I would love some Sony earphones. Because that's probably one of the few things I know that they do good. I just haven't been able to get any. But that's like the craziest thing is, how is it that indies, small, super small companies, are smart enough to keep buds, to keep the scope within reason, but also price it right? Like, what? You've just let greed overflow your entire being at this point. You think your game is better than Baldur's Gate 3. The second that game came out, you lost the war on making your game more expensive. Because it obviously didn't do nearly as much as they have. They justify that $70 price tag. Heck, I know people that'll pay $100 for that game. Just to spite These other games that try to charge 80 and 70.
Games are built around just delivering one sharp, enjoyable.
Yeah, that's what's the thing that people in like apparently these like companies don't understand in marketing. Like there's a loss return rate for how you price your game. Like after a certain point, it's too cheap, and you're not gonna recoup enough money plus make money. But at too much, you're gonna price out your demographic. Like, I get that you want to price it higher, but your demographic is not in that price bracket. Yeah, it's simple math like that. Like, 10 people buying the $100 game versus 100 people buying the $20 game. Like, you don't see how that's like the $20 game's gonna make way more money. Because the 10 people game only made 1,000. Whereas the $20 game made like 2,000. Like, yes, more people have to buy it, but more people can buy it. Like, I would say AAA games need to be charged like 50, 60, maybe, like, I'm pushing it on 60, but I would say 50, like between 50 and 40 is where you need to price your game. And you can't take modding away from players. Just can't. If you want your game to have a perpetuality to it, modding is the way to go. You can't monetize that. I'm sorry. You will kill modding, which will make your game die faster, which you probably want. But here's the issue. That's why these older games beat you. Because they have way better staying power, way more, like, grab potential, way more fun potential, and people see all the mods for them and they're like, huh? They see the holy light coming down. They see the holy grail rising up. A joke, but still, that's the idea.
Experience. Meanwhile, these AAA
that grabs their
spread
attention,
themselves
even like
thin, and
Gen
they're going
Z.
crazy. And that's the heart of their problem. Even
Gen Z has started getting freaking old MP3 players. Gen Z started the big pirate era this time. Like, millennials and us, we were already there, but, like, Gen Z started the big rush to it. Because they got tired of your crap. The laziest of the lazy generation, apparently, was so driven by your greed that now they pirate. And even with that, Silksong got pirate approval where they won't pirate it. Isn't that wild to think about?
though they don't see it, instead of listening to their players or learning from their competition, these companies have only continued to double down on some of the worst decisions they possibly could. They're out of touch, they're talent starved, and they're bleeding customers to these leaner studios that actually know what people want. But rather than fixing the cracks, they're just reaching for their greedier tools. They're pulling for lawsuits, patents, lockouts.
And like, what's hilarious is it's really only, as far as I know, it's only Nintendo trying this. And they're losing, by the way. If they were winning, they'd have already won. Like, Power would not be talking about coming out with 1.0 if they were losing. Like, you want to make sure they win? Go support them. Yeah. If someone made a banner that had Silksong on it and plastered out even pirates by it, do you understand how much draw that would have?
It's not about making...
Not because I have anti-cheat. Not because I lock it behind us, your proprietary store. All those things make people pirate it. Increase the chance of you getting pirated. Whereas Silksong and Team Cherry literally, like, showed you the answer. in the most perfect way.
Making better games, it's about building higher walls, which brings us straight to Nintendo and their latest attempt to
I love that his friend's name is Spinal.
patent one of the most basic mechanics in the history of gaming. Reported on by GamesFray, a publication that specializes in regulatory issues in the games industry, in an article titled "Last Week, Nintendo and the Pokemon Company received a U.S. patent on summoning a character and letting it fight another." In it, the writer Florian Mueller details 2 recently approved patents from Nintendo that were granted to them by the U.S. Patent Office, Patent 387 and 397, where 387 was the one that covers interactable summons being used as mounts, where 397 is the one that's pertaining to summons.
Which is crazy, because both those things are already done. Both of those things are in multiple games. So that means whoever approved these patents didn't do their job. The first thing a patent lawyer has to look at when they're approving a patent is this used already? Do people already do this, or so on? Because patents are there for the creator. Ensure they get paid for their idea. So, Nintendo, what game did you come out with in the 1900s that was before all these games that had both these mechanics? Because these mechanics are used since then. There are old as frick games. Digimon did this before you. They had 3D worlds before you. Or are we going to forget? Are we going to forget Digimon World?
Summoning and battle.
And Dragon Quest.
Battling creatures. In regards to the direct impacts of both, Mueller reports the 387 patent that was issued today.
I dare you to try to sue the Digimon company now. They probably make more money than you now. Because they're constantly coming out with stuff the Digimon fans devour. They sell out of their stuff constantly because they only put out so many, a few times, and every single time they put it out, gone, gone, gone. And more than half of it isn't even scalpers. Because even scalpers don't realize the power of Digimon paraphernalia.
Covers a technique that Pocket Pair recently worked around, so there's no leverage Nintendo gains from that grant. The 397 poses a fundamental threat to creativity and innovation in the game.
The 397 patents has no reason to exist. That's how fundamental of a mechanic it is. That it is a building block. And you want to know what the number one thing you can't patent are? Building blocks. Ed Sheeran won a case for music building blocks. He said he proved in court that after so long of music existing, there are just certain wave patterns and certain music patterns that are gonna be used again. You can't stop that from happening because there's no way to avoid it. It's a building block. You can't patent a building block. You can't copyright a building block. Because a building block shut up, Chiru. But imagine I patented building with square-shaped objects. You wanna know how many games killed off the back of that? Let's talk about Minecraft not existing.
Games industry. That question is not specific
Time to float 1 inch off the ground.
World, but to a large number of games that have already had that mechanic, as well as future releases that will have it. They break down that patent specifically in simple language, stating that 1, there must be a PC, console, or other computing device, and the game is stored on a drive or similar storage medium. 2, you can move a character in a virtual space. 3, you must be able to summon a character, they call it a sub-character, by which they mean it is not the player character, but for example, a little monster, such as a Pokemon, that the player has at its disposal.
So 1 describes Digimon World still. 2 absolutely describes Digimon World. Oh, look at that. 3 does describe a Digimon World. Oh dear. Guess what? Before you had a virtual game, Pokemon, Digimon did. They had 1, 2, and 3. Guess what that means? Your patent is null and void. There are multiple games that did something long before you did. I can point to them.
Branches out with items 4 and 5 being mutually exclusive scenarios before reuniting again at item
4. This is about summoning the subcharacter in a place where the character's already... There's already another character that will then fight. Okay, Digimon World. No, that's kind of Digimon World because you can summon a character to a position. Like the Digi-Eggs, that's what they do. They summon a different Digimon or summon your Digimon out to Digivolve into that Digimon to go somewhere. They're travel bonds, by the way.
6. 4. This is about summoning a sub-character in a place where there is already another character that it will, when instructed to do so, fight. 5. This is an alternate scenario about summoning where the sub-character is at a position where there is no other character to fight immediately. 6. This is the
final step about sending the sub-character in direction and then letting an automatic battle ensue with another character. Isn't that Digimon World 1? Isn't that kind of what they do? You don't really control them. They kind of just fight themselves. I'm pretty sure that's what they do, right? I'm pretty sure that's covered by a Digimon World.
final step about sending the sub-character...
It'll be so hilarious if Digimon comes in and is like, hey, we use these.
in a direction and then letting an auto battle ensue with another character. It is not clear whether this is even needed if one of the previous ones is executed. Step number 4.
Yeah, summoning class is not allowed either. But what I'm trying to prove is there's multiple games out right now that were out long before Pokemon ever even got into the 3D aspect that cover every single one of these points on this patent. I'm giving you 3. And that was off the top of my head. If I think for a bit, I could probably find more that cover every single one of these bases.
Or where the sub-character will basically be thrown at another character. They finished by publishing...
Yeah, if I include enemies, there's even more games, ironically.
They believe to be the wider ramifications of this patent.
Because some games only let the enemy summon.
By saying that Nintendo's all-you-can-patent approach is enabled by the fact that some patent offices appear to be in a difficult position to find prior art, which typically exists in the form of other games rather than other patent documents. The industry at large will have to think about what to do, and it could be that some game companies will now step up their patenting activity as well. At some point, companies that lose market share may prioritize patent monetization, either by going out and collecting royalties directly or by assigning their patents to third parties. Licensing firms are often pejoratively called patent trolls that will do so.
The problem here is, again, I'll say it, these patents should never have been allowed. Because the patent office apparently didn't do their job. And that is to establish first use. And to establish, like, creator. Because patents are for creators. The only reason certain people got away with stealing patents is because they got there before the first person did when it was created. So nothing else used it. There was no proof. That's why they got away with it. Here, there's clear proof and clear use long before these patents are created. You can't patent that. It's already widely used. The only reason that the patent for, what's that? Oh, Warner Brothers. The Warner Brothers patent exists for the Nemesis system is because it was quite literally a new creation for an idea for a game mechanic. That's why everyone hates them, because that's a new mechanic that you've stifled. It is locked to that rendition because it can't evolve. It can't be like built upon. It can't be changed at all because it can't be even touched.
While not patent related, Sony's trademark and copyright infringement lawsuit against Tencent in the Northern District of California also threatens to make games as a business.
Yes, it's robbery and stagnation. That's why I don't understand how it was allowed. Like, it's clearly someone didn't do their job. And if they need pictures of proof, guess what? Digimon World 1, 2, and 3 have multiple pictures on the internet. Do you want me to show them to you? I just typed Digimon World, and there's a sea of them. Quite literally a sea. Or I could type World of Warcraft. Pet battles.
More and more litigious, employing lawfare to prevent competition.
Here's the problem with that, Lurvin. There are rules that they have to follow. They didn't follow those rules. Ergo, legally, they should be shut down and lose their patent, like, bestowing rights. Because obviously you didn't listen to, like, the number 1, 2, and 3 rule of your company. Like, huh? The idea that you can just bestow this patent and you're not going to get punished for it?
Have you heard of the rule on the patenting from Nintendo? It was about Princess Peach. Look up Princess Peach Rule 34.
I've heard that phrase before and I know it's a lewd joke. I've never done it, but I know it's a lewd joke because the Rule 34 bit.
Competitors from releasing or continuing to sell games, or to force them to make changes to gameplay.
I'm not completely naive.
Looking at the state of the industry, I think that this writer has it right. On the AAA side, we are seeing nothing but more stagnation.
Here's the thing though, Lurvin. There's massive amounts of dislike for Nintendo right now. There's multiple videos getting hundreds of thousands of views, if not more, millions of views. Charlie has a few million views on some of them.
Games are getting worse.
What's wrong with Corn Hub? You guys told me about it. I looked it up. It's just corn.
Every
Quite literally
year,
just
customers
corn.
are turning feral because of broken launches and predatory monetization. We have player bases that have less disposable income, fewer jobs, and AI breathing down their necks. The obvious answer would be to reassess, fix your quality, lower your prices, actually listen to your players, but that's not what these companies do. They don't pivot, they litigate, and that's what we're starting to see right now. This looks like the opening shot
There's a channel I want to show y'all a short of that explains what companies think.
of a cataclysmic event. Instead of just making better games, these companies are just going to patent their mechanics. They're going to milk royalties from safe targets, and they're just going to sue the ones that they actually fear. I really hate how...
And I love how they're going to sue the ones they actually fear. Here's the problem. If Power World wins, this starts a reverse boulder.
broad this mechanic is. The mechanic it describes, summoning a character and letting it fight another, is something that we have seen for decades in games like Final Fantasy, Shin Megami Tensei, Path of Exile, and countless other RPGs. Now, on paper, prior use would crush this in court. These games are safe. Nothing's going to happen to them, but that's not the point. The point is suppression. Most of these studios are not going to want to burn years or millions of dollars fighting Nintendo's lawyers. They're just going to avoid the mechanics entirely, which means we're going to see fewer games with fewer summoning systems, fewer creature collectors, and fewer experiments in design. The damage isn't...
Well, actually, no. A lot of companies right now, even really big companies, are just coming out with them. Right now. Sony's coming out with one. I'm pretty sure Tencent's coming out with one. I'm pretty sure there's like a few... There's like quite a few, like, looked at indies. Like, these are, like, big enough indies that, like... And I wouldn't put it past Larian to put out one in the next year or so. And dare them to get, like, Nintendo to sue them.
in the courtroom, it's going to be a chilling effect across the entire industry. The bigger issue here, and honestly the most insidious, is how these patents are going to be enforced, because they're not about creating a level playing field or targeting every single game that has similar mechanics. They're just going to be used as weapons to be used.
That's what I think needs to become a law. If you have a patent for something, you are absolutely required to follow it up with everyone.
Selectively against whoever they think is posing a real threat. That's why Nintendo never bothered with games like Temtem or Koromon, because those games were small, they were niche, and they didn't really pose any danger to Pokemon. But Palworld, now that game is different, because 15 million sales in 1 month, 25 million players in the same window, that's Pokemon territory. Scarlet and Violet took 3 years to hit 26 million copies sold. Suddenly, Nintendo was not looking at some quirky indie game, they were staring down a competitor. I think as more of these companies jump on board, it's just going to create a cartel. These patents are not...
What I think is funny is some of these companies aren't even trying to do that. They're making their own creature because they want Nintendo to try. Because I think a lot of these companies realize that would literally just kill their industry. It wouldn't be dead in a few years. It'd be dead in like a year or two. Because there'd be no new games. And people get tired of your crap.
Not about innovation or protecting their IPs. This is about building a wall.
They can have infinite patents as long as they're rewarded them. But I think at a certain point they get like punished.
And a bigger one.
Garden where the giants are going to leave themselves alone and then weaponize the law against anybody that's trying to climb the fence. Nintendo pulled the trigger first, but you already know that all these other guys are going to follow. It's going to become a standard. Every single AAA publisher is going to start patenting these basic mechanics, not to be able to use them, but just to keep everybody else from doing so. And then once that happens, the industry stops being about competing with creativity and starts being about competing with lawyers. And that really sucks, because it's not just that we're going to see fewer experimental indies or fewer mid-tier studios that are daring to challenge some of these bigger players. It's just going to be that this industry itself is going to be rigged. It's going to be a cartel of companies that are too talent-starved and risk-adverse to be able to win with their own ideas. So instead, they're just going to lock down the market through suppression. They don't want to improve. They don't have to improve. They just have to make sure that nobody else is allowed to. This is just so damn petty. And I don't think that people understand just how much damage this is going to do and what kind of patent war is going to ensue as a result of this. These guys have been losing money. They've been losing customers, and that's making them desperate.
And I think some of the companies, I don't think all of them, I think he's right that some of them are going to do this, but I think some of them know that. I think Sony might be one of them, because they're literally creating a creature games really soon. Like, they've already announced it, and they've already shown off, like, shorts of it and stuff. I have hope. A little bit.
You have to think about this. These guys are so beholden to their shareholders that they have monetized us. You
know what I want to do? If it starts being a thing, I'm immediately getting the exact patent Shizu's talking about. And the way I'll monetize it is I'll say, sure, you can use my patent, but I want either $3 million per gun or object that is shooting, or you literally give me 20% royalties. Like, I'm gonna be as unfair as possible.
Monetize.
You think that's cheap, Lervin? Think about how many objects, how many guns they like to put in these war games. You will be limited to like 3 guns in their next game if I get that. There's a lot of guns. There's like 60, 70, 80 guns. And that's 3 million times that number. If it's over 100, that's over 300 million already down the drain. And skins are separate too. I said each different object. So skins, every time they make a new skin for a gun, where's my 3 million? Oh, it's on different guns. How many guns is it on? 5? Okay, that's 15 million. Where's my 15 million?
Everything that wasn't nailed down. And now the only thing that's left is to monetize their own competition.
And what happened to that guy? He got fired. That game crashed.
Through royalties. That's what's going
Pretty
down.
sure that guy got
I was
fired.
originally
at least.
sitting
I'm
here saying, why are these guys letting Nintendo get away with this? And then I realized they're all going to do it.
I don't think they're letting them get away with it. Some of them have started making their own creature games to show that they're not going to care. Yeah, that's what's hilarious. The company that hired him knew he was an idiot. Knew he was an idiot. But yeah, what's hilarious is I think BlackRock's going to collapse. That's a wild theory of mine, but I think it's going to collapse in the next few years because they pushed it too far. They pushed it way too far, and it's about to tip over the edge. It's already at the edge. It can see it. It's within a mile of the edge of this cliff that you kept climbing. But you've reached the edge. All it takes for them is to push it one more time. Because people are starting to be way more vocal, way more not happy with it, maybe more like putting their foot down or pirating or something. And they've tried to start pushing into the pirating territories and stuff, trying to stop it. Here's the thing. It's taught time and time again, mostly in like hunting movies and stuff. But the most dangerous moment when hunting is when the prey is cornered. That is the most dangerous moment. Unity hired him, and look at where Unity is now. They are not profitable at all now. Yeah, like that company almost collapsed overnight from that one push. That shows you
Bora
the
just
second
a kobold.
it is most
Emergency
dangerous in the
food yank.
hunt.
Hey, Bokup one lurker.
Hey, BB. The second it is most dangerous in the hunt, or in this case, in like finance and stuff and marketing. Like when you're trying to take down the prey, or in this case, customer, like to get them to buy your product, is when you add the price tag. Ironically, the second I see a price tag is when I debate whether I want something. There are some people, of course, that still just go, bah. They don't look at the price tag. They don't care. But there's getting way less of those people. Because, like, the richer people are off doing other things. They're starting to leave. Because we've left. There's no one to show off their massive fortune to. There's no one to show off to. And there's getting more and more people who don't give a damn. People like me, where you show off to me, you've noticed, when you show off to me, I just go, ah, cool. Okay. And I look away. I don't, like, I love the pretty skins and stuff, and I think they're cute and neat and nice. But I don't care that much. And there are people that care way less than me. I care a lot because it's you guys. I love you guys showing off to me because I know you're proud of your look and stuff, and you want to show off. And I'm happy to oblige. Because I enjoy a lot of your fashions and stuff. What about the people that don't? You've created so many of those people companies that now your whole incentive has a wrench thrown into it. That now you have to price stuff not too expensive. And it's slowly lowering each day to get people to buy it to show off to. Which, like, increases the widely use of it. Booka Booka is so very cute. Go, go. Why did my lizard play? Oh yeah, I haven't fixed this place yet. I don't think. That's hilarious, actually. But lizard. I'll fix that later. But like that's the issue you're not realizing. It's cuter. God damn it. Lizard. Stop. Okay.
If Nintendo can get away with patenting summoning mechanics, well, then you're going to see Xbox patent cover mechanics because of Gears of War. You're going to see Blizzard patent skill trees because of World of Warcraft and Diablo. You're going to see Ubisoft patent wall running.
Unfortunately, each of these mechanics are even harder to prove. Summoning, I kind of, like in some fricked up world, I could see where they didn't realize it's already used. Because I bet anything, the people that work at these patent office don't really know about video games that well. So they see summoning mechanic and they think of Pokemon and they're like, oh, I've been waiting to see you for a while. Okay. That makes sense.
Or
the Nemesis system, to be fair, was a new creation. Should it have been patented? No. Has Warner Brothers lost a shit ton of money because of it? Yes. Because there are some people that didn't even buy the second one because of how pissed off they were. It wasn't a lot of people, but it was enough. And the ball got way bigger over time.
Traversal mechanics. Nothing is going to be sacred at this point. And all this does is benefit them and does nothing for us. It ruins the industry for us because it means less games, less...
Well, they have this certain patent that doesn't expire, which I don't even understand that one. It's for, like, you don't actually have to sue anyone for it. It just shows ownership.
Experimental games, less new games for us to be able to play because it's all designed to forcibly funnel us towards them. Our money goes to them and nobody else because they're...
But here's the thing Nintendo, I guess, doesn't understand. Again, if there's no good options, there are no options. There isn't you as an option. If you're the only option, but you're still not good, people leave. I don't have to buy your game.
The only ones that have that kind of experience we might be looking for. This is such a failure on the side of the US patent.
I'll just play old games and you can't stop me.
These guys are supposed to. It's part of their entire program to make sure that they are weighing these patents against whatever.
FOMO doesn't work on me anymore. It actively makes me leave your game. That's one of the other reasons I hate the finals. And what, like, I guess Muma didn't understand what I meant. The reason why Helldivers works where the finals doesn't is they lock it behind seasons. Like, I have to wait how many seasons to get this mechanic? Like, to start using my Battle Pass again? No, I bought it. It's mine. I want to pull for this band. I say that, but do you see how little I actually do? It's called Boca being a streamer. Also, lizard, stop! But yeah, like, I'll say that from time to time because I really do like the character. Stop it! Lizard.
Whatever their future impacts on an industry could be. And I think in this case, and probably in the case of a lot of video games that we've seen, I don't think that they have any context on video games whatsoever. It's like the guy I brought up. It seems like these guys are looking to weigh it against other patents rather than weigh it against the actual art itself. And because these guys aren't playing video games, they don't really care. They probably saw, oh, it's Pokemon doing the Pokemon thing. Oh, of course this is theirs.
That's what I think. I think they don't have a reference. They don't understand video games. Because they're really old or they're like just not into video games, so they don't understand it fully. Lizard, stop it! I'm trying to be a good streamer while reacting.
even though it's something that existed far before Pokemon ever did. I think it was Megami Tensei was the first game,
Yes.
or something like that.
It was Megami Tensei that had summoning first. I believe. I think it came out slightly before Digimon World 2, which would be the summoning mechanic.
There's probably something even before then. None of this represents video games. None of this represents the hobby or who these games are being made for. We've been written out of the equation entirely. And Nintendo isn't alone in this, because everybody right now wants control of video games. We're seeing these activist groups, we're seeing politicians, we're seeing credit card.
The reason they want control of it is it's kind of one of the best mediums left. Because BlackRock destroyed Hollywood. No one frickin' cares about your movies anymore. Because you're monetizing the shit out of them, and then the theaters have to monetize it because they barely get any money at all from showing you the movie. Like, you don't seem to understand.
Card companies, we're even seeing the platforms that are selling these games. All of them want to say in what games are made and how we can access them. Anytime there's a national tragedy or anything similar, especially if the assailant is young, video games are the first scapegoat. And it's happening again after the death of the political commentator Charlie Kirk. Platforms like Steam, Discord, and Twitch are all under investigation, with their executives being dragged before Congress to explain how their communities radicalized users. Helldivers 2 even got caught in the blast radius. A meme tied to the shooter was found at the scene. Their subreddit went into lockdown, and suddenly a co-op alien shooter is being dragged into a political firestorm. It doesn't matter what the reality is. If a gamer is involved, games themselves are going to become the target.
Here's the issue there. There could be some of them that are just edgy jokes. Which, yeah. And people are very sensitive right now because of it. And you're doing edgy jokes right after the event, you're in the wrong. Yeah, you may like edgy jokes, but the way edgy jokes work is you wait a little bit. You don't do it right after it happened, because that's in very bad taste. That's indecent. Decency was lost somewhere. I say those few people get a slap on the wrist and told, hey, be a decent person. And this won't go any further. Like, give a little, just a smidgen of respect to the wife and child that saw their father die. Like, that's a bit harsh to see as a child. That's pretty harsh. There's literally laws against it, of letting a child witness a murder and stuff. Like, if you knew a child was there and you still committed the murder, there's an extra law specifically for that. That's how bad it is. Because that kid is now traumatized. They're going to be fucked up when they're older. No one knows how screwed up they are, because that just sends a shockwave through their brain chemistry. That's like multi-generational shock trauma. Because they're going to treat their kids differently if they have kids. Based on that. There's no saying that they're not. Because, like, studies show that that is exactly what's going to happen. That's why there's that law. Those laws. Like, that's something you don't joke about immediately after. You wait, like, a couple months at least. Like, is it an edgy joke? Sure. Do I love an edgy joke here and now? Sure. But also, I understand decency. Like, a while back, I don't remember when it was, but someone did an edgy joke about something that happened only, what was it, like a month ago? And I was like, should we be joking about that this soon? And now here we are, where people are joking about it the day after. Like, the Chris Rock slap wasn't that edgy. That was someone that's true devoted to a woman that doesn't care about him. Like, is he misguided? Yes. But who honestly, like, fully cares in afterwards? That wasn't really that edgy. Should he have been more punished right then and there? Yes. Boka's very wise and lovely. Yes. Shut up. No, I don't think I'm that wise or that lovely. I just say what I believe enough.
Only a day before all this happened, GameSpot.com published an article written by Eddie Mockik titled RFK cites video games as a possible cause for real-world gun violence, where he writes, United States Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has announced that the National Institutes of Health are looking into a range of issues as it relates to what may contribute to gun violence in the United States. He also cited video games as a possible cause for real-world violence. The firearms question is a complex question. It's not an easy question, he said in response to a question from PBS about the government looking into mental health when it comes to gun violence. He called out a variety of factors that could contribute to an uptick in real-world violence, including dependency on psychiatric drugs, along with video games and social media. We are initiating studies that now look into the correlation and the potential connection between over-medicating our kids and this violence. He did not elaborate on video games, however. The writer then would go on to talk about various studies that have happened throughout the years, some independent studies that had confirmed that video games were the issue, yet Mockik would later write that a study from Oxford discovered no link between aggressive behavior in teenagers and the amount of time that they spent playing violent video games. Our findings suggest that researcher biases might have influenced previous studies on the topic and have distorted our understanding of the effects of video games, co-author Dr. Netta Weinstein from Cardiff University said. This study came years after published, vetted research that showed that there is no connection between violent video games and the increase in violent crimes. It has been studied, tested, and debunked.
It's been studied, tested, debunked multiple times. It doesn't have anything to do with it. Like, I mean, thank you for the flash. Like, I know you would love for there to be a easy answer to your problem. This isn't it. I'm sorry. It's such a lovely, like, you'd love it to be wrapped up in a nice little bow, solved. But that's not how it goes sometimes. I'm sorry. It's clearly not.
Every single time these politicians drag video games into the conversation about violence, they do it with the exact same bag of tricks. Cherry-pick studies that only support their narrative. They ignore the ones that don't, and they just lean on this assumption that because young people play video games that they must be to blame. But correlation is not causation.
It never was. There's multiple studies for multiple different things that show that that doesn't necessarily lead to that.
Millions of people play violent video games every single day across every single...
People would love to blame anything but their own failings. Like, sometimes it really is just you, bro. Just accept it.
Country on earth. If there was a direct pipeline between Call of Duty and real-world violence, society would have collapsed years ago. And the research backs that up. Oxford University study is one of the most comprehensive ones to date, and it found no link between violent video games and adolescent aggression. Not a weak link, not a complicated link. No link whatsoever. That's not even an outlier. There are dozens of peer-reviewed studies across psychology, sociology, and criminology that have shown the exact same thing. In fact, violent crime rates have actually gone down in the same decade.
The actual answer to, like, what effect those games have is actually a reduction. It's a small reduction, sure, but it's a reduction. Like, even the graph shows it. I was about to say it, but then the graph popped up. The reason being is some people just need to get out their anger or get out their violent tendencies. And some people are just want to try listening to their brain gremlins for just a little bit. Yeah, like, some of these games are so violent, you'd expect the people that play them to be, like, mass murderers. They're not. Some of them are the nicest people you'll meet. because they have an outlet. Some people just need an outlet. Like, does the outlet make you happy? Sometimes, no. I don't play those games. Like, do I play violent games? Yes. Do I, like, and yes, I do say I'll stab you a lot, but I think we can understand when something's said in jest and when something's said in passion. Like, this does not increase violence. In all intents and purposes, honestly, it decreases it because the people that would be violent that are playing this are less violent because they're getting it out in a video game. And then the people that play it because they like it weren't violent to begin with, and it doesn't subtly make them violent.
Decades that violent video games have gone mainstream, likely because they gave people an outlet and a hobby.
Exactly. Pre-watch allegations! It came out an hour before I started streaming.
That doesn't stop these politicians from dragging games into every single tragedy, because truth doesn't matter. That's not what they want. They want the optics, and they want to make sure everybody believes that there are problems that only they can solve.
They want to create the problem so that they can solve the issue. Maybe you're the problem.
And I don't see any of this as being any different than the activist groups that are going after games on cultural grounds. Groups like Collective Shout, who are campaigning to rip adult games off of Steam because they think somehow they are the root of misogyny and real-world crimes.
Oh, gosh. If only, right?
Against women, it's the same playbook. Blame
No,
games
no,
for
maybe
societal
she's in.
problems that you don't understand, then use that outrage as justification to censor, restrict, and control what other people can access and play. Whether it's politicians chasing headlines or activists just pushing their own morality onto everybody else, the goal—
Also, that gun is so not realistic. That should be hitting the bronze side of the door, and it's headshotting people from multiple feet away.
is the exact same: to control the public and suppress art that they personally do not approve of. None of these groups actually engage with games. They don't play them. They don't understand the culture, the mechanics, the communities. They just see video games as an abstract threat that needs to be managed and not as a medium with value and creativity and meaning. And that ignorance is incredibly dangerous because it means that the people that are writing the rules and applying pressure are doing it from a place of total detachment. It's just control for control's sake: political control, moral control, financial control. The faces may change, but the impulse is still the same. Strip away independence, funnel everything through their own approval, and then make sure that games don't exist unless it's on their terms. That's not about protecting anyone.
Buddy, I can go back years for games to play. I can go and be a retro streamer.
It's just about power. And that's the thing that I don't think a lot of these people, the corporations, the politicians, or the—
And I've already got a sizable library building in GOG, so good luck taking my games.
activists actually
I'll get a solid state drive in, fill it up.
understand is that they're telling themselves that they're fixing something, that they're protecting someone, or they're saving us from ourselves, but all they're really going to be doing is just poking the bear. Yes, there are some radicalized spaces on the internet, and yeah, something does need to be done about them, but when you have people who do not understand these spaces that are coming crashing into them, they're not going to fix the problem. They're just going to make it worse. Every time they tighten their grip, they're just going to tear away at the very communities that these games have built. They're going to bulldoze into spaces where people feel like they actually belong: guilds, Discord servers, Reddit forums, the kind of places that offer connection in a world that has never felt more isolated.
That's why I feel like MapleStory needs Classic. Because if Classic brings back some of the things that they took away from regular MapleStory, it will be massive.
Than ever. To them, those spaces are dangerous, unruly, or uncontrollable, but for millions of players, they're a lifeline. And I don't think it's just about belonging. I think this industry also represents opportunity. The games industry is one of the few creative fields where every single discipline is involved, and even a small team in a garage can turn an idea into something global. Games create jobs, they create technology that can spill into other sectors, they can inspire kids to learn how to code, to be able to make art or write their own stories. They have sparked lifelong careers and lifelong friendships. They have built entire economies for streamers, modders, and esports athletes, and yet, the people who want to control it, whether it's Nintendo with their patents, politicians chasing headlines, or these moral crusaders, they see none of that. To them, games are just nothing but a liability, a scapegoat, or a product to be strip mined. The silver lining that I can see in all of this is that every single time they try to crack down, they think that they're trying to make the industry safer, cleaner, or more manageable. All they're going to do is just drive players and developers to adapt. Creativity has always been forged in adversity. Indie developers have found ways to be able to thrive under a constant barrage of indie titles. Modders have been able to keep beloved games alive long after publishers have abandoned them. Fans have built entire genres from scraps that companies have left behind. The more outsiders that try to regulate, censor, or litigate, the more developers are just going to be able to force to innovate in those cracks that they can't close off. That's the thing that I think a lot of these groups are going to fail to understand, is that games have always thrived on resistance. We have survived.
Games started out as both a very niche fad and getting called the devil by Christianity. D&D was called the devil's ploy constantly. You think these games won't survive without you? You're wrong.
Moral panics, we've survived regulation scares, bankruptcies, layoffs, monopolies, and I'm sure that we're going to be able to survive this. I have a very strong feeling with how unstable both the economy and society has been over the past couple of years. We're going to be seeing some wide sweeping changes impact a lot of our spaces very soon.
What I think's going to happen: consume the water. And it's kind of a controversial opinion, but I'm pretty sure we're going to have a rebellion. Because it's getting to that point. Plus, one country already did it.
Spaces that have largely gone untouched for a very long time, but you know, we've already seen age verification roll out on a lot of platforms. We've seen a lot of the laws that have got.
That one's going to probably be what causes it. Once it starts really hitting, people are going to realize how much freedom they got taken away, and they're going to be like, "Ah, nah."
Gotten passed in the UK. We've seen how that stuff has then bled over into other countries.
It's starting to push it into that direction in the UK very quickly.
As well, we've seen changes in Australia and other places too, and I think we're going to start seeing more changes like that in the future. And I think a lot of that stuff is largely unavoidable unless people actually vote against it. But I wish that people would look inward instead of outward. These politicians should be talking about the economy. They should be talking about education. They should be talking about destigmatizing, talking about how you feel rather than just slapping a label and a medication on yourself. We should be talking about the state of...
One big thing my papa, mom, and a lot of people agree with me on. My dad and mom both are proponents of it, and we're actually the ones that mentioned this when we started agreeing on it. A lot of these issues would be fixed if we had mental health, like, help. If we actually had decent mental health help and it didn't cost your entire arm and leg to get. It should be easily accessible. But it's not. What is there?
The job economy.
I can't pay someone no $400 an hour to talk. You could maybe convince me $50 an hour. I'd pay you once every month or something. But no one in their right mind wants to pay multi-hundreds of dollars to just get someone to help them crack open the safe of their mentalities.
Is what we should be talking about. All these companies that are out there that are replacing all of their workers with AI. Has anybody ever stopped to ask the question, what happens when you've gotten rid of all your employees, but now people don't have any money to actually buy your stuff? Or buy anything for that matter. I do think that there is a discussion to have on online extremism. I think that it is pretty...
It's kind of bad.
It's all over the place, to be honest.
It's very all over the place. There's some hit and there's some miss.
That's with you. But a lot of that is largely stemming from an unstable economy. You have to look at those things to be able to fix it.
If you fix the economy, you would fix a lot of that issue. And you just keep kicking this can down the road to where it's very unmanageable and there needs to be a reset. I'm sorry to say it, but there probably does. You've kind of clearly made that obvious.
Everything else. You have a lot more problems. People have a lot more problems when they feel like they don't have a future. And I think that there's a lot of people that are out there today that feel like
more people are more desperate and more violent when they think they're out of options and they have nothing to lose. That much is very clear and been like obvious for a long time in history. Like I said, the most dangerous part of the hunt is right before like the kill. That's when you're most dangerous. That's when you're most unaware of those surrounding you, and that is when the prey is typically chooses to take their stand. Are you strong enough to fight that stand?
Down on our escapes, our hobbies. That's only gonna.
You don't have a gun. You got a knife, and that's it.
To cause more problems. I can definitely tell you that. The patent war is coming. I do know that for a fact. These companies have.
I don't think it's coming yet. Some of these companies are probably thinking about it, but I think some of these other companies are daring, are betting on Palworld winning. Because as soon as patents get thrown out the window, a lot of these companies stop getting scared of competing again. Because they're like, there's no holds barred. I don't have to worry about like beating these people. Take them out.
So much money over the last few years. They've lost so much to their competition. There's too much new competition. Things are just so like, I don't think people really understand just how disruptive indie has been over the.
Indie has been massive boulder to the wall. Like the wall's crumbling. I see what he's saying. I'm pretty confident he's right. There's at least some companies going to try it. But I think if we support Palworld enough and they win, which they will eventually, because Nintendo's going to just get stigmatized out of it, the fight, basically. Because Japan as a whole is starting to get really pissed off at censorship. And this is a type of censorship. People are going to notice that.
Last couple of years. It is insane how many of their games have been selling, how many of their games have been selling, and how largely a lot of people are just kind of starting to scoot away from AAA. And that is just going to suck for them, because if they really lean into that, all that's going to do is just make them more dependent on what they're already doing, which
doesn't work.
Good. It's like what they're already doing isn't good. So focusing that and only doing that is only going to make things even worse. You need an ecosystem of ideas. You need people that are sharing ideas. You need to see what people do with the things that you create and then learn from that and then make better products in the future. That's how this industry started. That's how almost every industry.
Which the funny thing is, Larvin, indies will never go away. Indies will just go underground. Or sell through Steam. And all you'll have is a name. And Steam will probably be like, we can't contact them. We can only send them money. Or something. I see Steam as putting their foot down eventually. Because Steam's pretty big on the whole fairness and stuff. When it comes to like games. That's why they made it where indies had a voice. And a way to make their games seen. Or just everyone forget about Greenlight. Because they enjoy indies too. They're gamers first, guys.
Something to keep in mind.
There will always be a way.
Hope you guys enjoyed the video.
For your competition to thrive.
The video, like the video, subscribe to the channel, share the video with your friends, comment down below. Let me know what you guys think about the state of things. And man, that Palworld patent, that's not good. Anyway, stay cool, stay righteous, stay safe. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Follow me on Twitch, follow me on Twitter. I'll be live today. Peace.
Boys, family. And that was the legendary drops. Ba-bam.